It's still extremely humid tonight. You can see, maybe, there's beads of sweat glistening on my arm here. That's not good. For the same reason, or a similar reason, I should say, as when you're sanding raw wood, you don't want sweat dripping on it or water getting on it, because it'll leave a water spot, a rough spot that'll take stain different. You also don't want it whenever you're finished sanding, because water is a contaminant and it will cause the finish to do weird stuff. So I'm gonna quick wipe off the sweat here. Give me a little bit of time to work. Okay, I've got this my first victim here, which is the tabletop. I'm going to be actually using two different things here. This Premium Red dry lube, also known as Big Red, from the company that I buy this, from which I purchased this. Excuse me. It's a open coat resin paper. It does a really good job. It's pretty long lasting, doesn't gum up real quick. The other thing I'm going to use is a 3M Scotch-Brite pad, the red one. And this is to be used for the edges or any irregular surfaces. Now, tonight, I've got pretty much all square stock. I'll use this around those stub tenons. So anyway, once again, I will grab my rubber block, and I'll try to also sand with the grain here. It doesn't matter quite as much. Sometimes when you sand finish, which way you turn. If you're using like a 320 or higher paper. For this 220, it's a little more aggressive, and sometimes you can see a scratch pattern in there, which doesn't look real good. So I'm going to just be a little conservative here and do like the textbook method here. Now, you're probably wondering what this white powdery stuff is. That's the stearates in the sanding sealer, the stuff that makes it sand easy, keeps it from being gummy. I've had that explained to me that it's like mineral soap, and anyway, it will brush off or vacuum off real easy once I get done here. See, it's already nice and smooth. Take this Scotch-Brite and hit the outside radius. Hit the inside radius. Now, since this is kind of irregular here, I'm also going to use the Scotch-Brite on here. The Scotch-Brite isn't quite as aggressive as this 220, but it does put scratches in, and that's what you want, just a little bit of scratching there, in order to give the finish something on which to bite and lock into the first coat. Sometimes also I will follow up the sandpaper, and it likes to catch on the rag. I'll follow up the sandpaper with some 3M just to kind of even the scratching out. I'll turn this up on edge here now, buff this out. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure or a whole lot of aggressive sanding. And actually, they used to nickname me Bear Down Blau when I worked at the other shop, because they had a regular spray guy, but sometimes when we had a lot of stuff to do, they would grab guys from the shop who were not busy and put them back in the spray booth to help out, especially on refacing jobs where there was a lot of doors to do and a lot of 1/4 inch stock. So you would go back there and more often than not, I would burn through the finish, which means, especially on the edges where, like I said, it gets a little thin. And if you bear down too hard, you burn right through the coating. So you learn to have a little bit more delicate touch if possible. I'm not going to show everything, or me sanding everything here. But just to give you a general idea, now this panel, since it's flat and doesn't have the design burned into it, I'm just going to use the sandpaper here, and then I'll touch it up with the 3M pad. I'm also going to turn it on edge and get down in here, make sure I get a bite and start to grip. Make sure I get the finish can bite down in there too. And there it is. All I got to do is vacuum that off a little bit, and it's ready to go.